My name is Shirley, a 50-year-old woman who juggled her roles as a housewife and full-time worker, had a life filled with both blessings and trials. She married Mark, a man she met at a party for new employees across associated companies. Despite her low tolerance for alcohol, Mark's kindness on the night they met left a lasting impression, leading to their eventual marriage. Both Shirley and Mark, having faced their own challenges in life, dreamed of creating a warm, loving family together, a stark contrast to their difficult pasts. However, their journey took a complicated turn with the presence of Mark's sister, Maria. From the beginning, Maria seemed to disapprove of Shirley, making their first encounter at Shirley and Mark's simple wedding notably uncomfortable. Maria's behavior was strikingly inappropriate, from hair choice of attire to her outright disdain towards Shirley, signaling the start of ongoing tensions. The situation escalated when Maria, following a breakup due to her partner's unfaithfulness, moved in with Shirley and Mark. This shift brought unforeseen chaos into their once peaceful home. Maria's influence extended to Shirley's sons, Edward and Jonathan, whom she filled with misconceptions and lies about their parents. This manipulation led to a growing rift within the family, culminating in Edward and Jonathan's estrangement from their parents. Tragedy struck when Mark passed away suddenly. When Shirley informed Edward of his father's death, his response was cold and detached, showing no interest in participating in the funeral arrangements or mourning his father's passing. Instead, Edward expressed a preference for staying away, citing work as an excuse to avoid family obligations. In the wake of the funeral, Shirley received a letter from Mark that he had written before his death. The letter, filled with emotion, revealed Mark's deep feelings and concerns for his family, including the negative impact Maria had on their lives and the pain caused by his son's absence at his funeral. This letter became a turning point for Shirley, who resolved not to let the story of her family end in such despair. Reflecting on her life, Shirley recalled the early days of her relationship with Mark. Their love story began with a chance meeting and grew through shared experiences and a mutual desire for happiness. Despite the challenges posed by Maria's interference and the subsequent estrangement from her sons, Shirley remained determined to find a way to heal the fractures within her family and honor Mark's memory. Shirley's narrative is a testament to the complexities of family dynamics, the impact of external influences, and the enduring strength of love and commitment in the face of adversity. Her journey reflects the challenges of navigating relationships within a family, the pain of loss, and the hope for reconciliation and healing. Shirley and Mark's life took an unexpected turn when Maria, Mark's sister, found herself in a tough spot after her marriage ended due to her husband's infidelity. Claiming she couldn't return to her parents' home, Maria decided to move in with Shirley and Mark temporarily. Despite receiving a considerable sum in alimony, Maria insisted on staying with them until she found the perfect place to live, refusing to rush into choosing a new home. Mark was visibly annoyed by Maria's reluctance to find her own apartment, especially given her financial situation. Yet, Maria arrived at their home one weekend, ready to stay, without even asking for permission. Living with Maria proved to be a significant challenge for Shirley and Mark. Maria treated their home as if it were her own, with little regard for the fact that she was living off their kindness. She would stay out late, sleep until the afternoon, and then spend her days lounging around, either glued to her phone or watching TV aimlessly. Shirley, who often came home exhausted after a long day's work, found Maria's presence increasingly taxing. Maria would impatiently inquire about dinner and criticize Shirley's housekeeping, suggesting that as a wife, Shirley should take on all the household chores, despite Mark sharing these duties. Mark and Shirley's relationship began to strain under the weight of Maria's entitled behavior. Shirley hesitated to voice her concerns to Mark, fearing it might worsen the siblings' relationship. However, Mark eventually noticed Shirley's distress. When confronted, Maria dismissively claimed she was merely stating the obvious and refused to contribute financially, citing her emotional state post-divorce as a reason. Maria's attitude and lack of contribution put a strain on Shirley and Mark's aspirations for a happy marriage and their plans to start a family. The stress surrounding Maria's presence even seemed to interfere with their hopes of having children. However, in their third year of marriage, the couple received joyful news. Shirley was pregnant. This new beginning prompted Mark to encourage Maria to find her own place, emphasizing the need for more space with the baby on the way. Maria's reaction to the news was to question Shirley's plans regarding work, to which Shirley replied she intended to return to work after taking a year of parental leave. This moment marked a turning point for the couple. as they navigated the complexities of expanding their family while dealing with the challenges posed by Maria's presence in their home. Shirley and Mark's life took an unexpected turn when they found out about Shirley's pregnancy. Faced with the challenge of finding childcare in an area where daycares had long waited lists, they were at a loss. It was during this time that Maria, Mark's sister, offered a solution that surprised them both. Despite their initial hesitations, given Maria's previous behavior, she proposed to look after the baby for free until they secured a daycare spot, arguing it would help them financially. Reluctantly, Shirley and Mark agreed to Maria's offer, partly out of necessity and partly due to the lack of alternatives. To their astonishment, Maria proved to be a dedicated caregiver to their newborn, Edward. She educated herself on childcare, tended to his daily needs, and frequently took him to parks and community centers. Her commitment was undeniable, and Edward's affection for her was a clear indication of her positive impact. When Jonathan, their second son, was born 3 years later, Maria's role in their lives deepened. With both parents busy with work, Maria's assistance became invaluable. However, as the boys grew older, Shirley and Mark noticed a shift in their relationship with their sons. Edward and Jonathan began to show a clear preference for spending time with Maria, often dismissing plans with their parents in favor of activities with her. This preference became more pronounced over time. Celebrations and outings with Maria became the highlights for Edward and Jonathan, overshadowing any attempts by Shirley and Mark to bond with them. The situation reached a boiling point when Edward, growing increasingly disrespectful, dismissed Shirley with harsh words, expressing a wish that Maria was their mother. The boys even voiced a belief that they were unwanted by their parents, a notion they claimed was instilled by Maria. This revelation shocked Shirley, who struggled to reconcile the caring figure Maria had become for her sons with the divisive force she represented within their family. Despite the hurtful comments, Shirley tried to correct their misconceptions, emphasizing that Mark and she had always wanted children, and that Maria's role was supposed to be temporary. This complex web of relationships, responsibilities, and misunderstandings left Shirley and Mark grappling with the realization that while Maria's help had been indispensable, it had also unintentionally created a divide between them and their children. The challenge now was not only to mend their relationship with Edward and Jonathan, but also to navigate the complicated dynamics that Maria's presence had woven into the fabric of their family life. Shirley's relationship with her sons, Edward and Jonathan, had reached a breaking point. Their preference for Maria, Mark's sister, over their own parents was evident in their everyday interactions. Edward's disdainful remarks about his parents' advice on homework and gaming late into the night were a testament to Maria's influence. Shirley's retort about Maria lacking responsibility for their future was met with accusations of jealousy and mockery, leaving Shirley on the verge of tears. The situation escalated when Mark, upon hearing the exchange, confronted his sons, only to be ridiculed about his job and salary. Maria's intervention, dismissing the significance of the boys' disrespectful comments, only fueled the fire. Mark, at his limit, demanded Maria leave if she could not contribute positively to the household. Maria's swift decision to leave seemed to shock everyone, especially Edward and Jonathan. After Maria's departure, the gap between Shirley, Mark, and their sons widened. Edward and Jonathan's brief attempts at employment failed, and their ventures into questionable business deals only added to the family's strain. A significant argument led Mark to kick them out, with a stern condition for their return. The departure of Maria and the estrangement from their sons left Shirley and Mark in a silent, albeit less chaotic, home. However, peace was short-lived. A call from Mark's colleague brought the devastating news of Mark's collapse and subsequent admission to the ICU. The rush to the hospital and the grim reception from the doctor confirmed Shirley's worst fears. The shock of Mark's sudden health crisis, juxtaposed with the memory of their routine departure that morning and plans for their anniversary, underscored the fragility of their family's situation. This narrative captures the complex dynamics within a family torn apart by external influences and internal conflicts. The challenge of parenting in the face of contradicting values, the pain of estrangement, and the sudden shock of a health crisis highlight the unpredictability of life and the importance of reconciliation and understanding within a family unit. Shirley found herself navigating a surreal and sorrowful reality after Mark's unexpected passing. The stark contrast between her grief and the dismissive reactions from Edward, Jonathan, and Maria only deepened her sense of isolation. Their lack of empathy and apparent indifference, conveyed through a distressing phone call amidst a backdrop of laughter and celebration, left Shirley reeling with shock and disbelief. It was a harsh reminder of the fractured relationships and the emotional distance that had grown between them. In the days that followed, as Shirley went through the motions of arranging a dignified farewell for Mark, the absence of his presence in the minutiae of daily life became a source of profound sadness. The routines they once shared, now solitary tasks, served as constant reminders of her loss. Mark's absence was felt most acutely in the quiet moments, turning once comforting rituals into painful reflections on what had been lost. The arrival of a letter from Mark, posthumously sent by an old friend as per his instructions, offered a glimmer of emotional reprieve amidst the gloom. Reading his words, Shirley was moved by the depth of Mark's love and the forethought he had shown in preparing for a future he would not be part of. The discovery of a safety deposit box, as mentioned in his letter, sparked a new determination in Shirley. Armed with a key, and driven by a resolve to honor Mark's last wishes, she embarked on a quest that would bring unexpected revelations. In a bold move, Shirley invited Maria, Edward, and Jonathan to her home under the guise of discussing Mark's inheritance. Their eagerness and sense of entitlement, starkly evident as they speculated about the nature of the inheritance, underscored their shamelessness. Maria's remarks, tinged with greed and curiosity, laid bare the superficiality of their concern for Mark's legacy. As the trio's anticipation reached a peak, Shirley prepared to confront them. With a recording of Mark's thoughts and feelings, a testament to the man they had so readily dismissed. This confrontation, poised on the edge of revelation, promised to challenge their perceptions and perhaps offer a chance for understanding and reconciliation. Shirley, guided by Mark's enduring influence and her own unwavering spirit, stood ready to address the past and navigate the complex terrain of familial bonds, legacy, and the enduring power of love and memory. Shirley decided to confront her family with the truth, using Mark's cell phone and an IC recorder as her tools. The atmosphere was tense with anticipation and curiosity, particularly from Edward, who mocked the notion of his father having an affair. However, his laughter quickly faded as Shirley played a recording of Edward speaking dismissively about Maria, exploiting her for money by flattering her. The room's mood shifted dramatically as accusations flew, revealing the depth of deceit and manipulation within the family. Maria's outrage at Edward's words was palpable, but before the argument could escalate further, Shirley played another recording. This one exposed Jonathan's exploitation of Maria, discussing the substantial amount of money he received from her and their strategy to continue deceiving her for financial gain. The brothers laughed at Maria's expense, mocking her appearance and delusional dreams, unaware that their cruel words were being recorded. The recordings laid bare the grim reality of a family embroiled in selfishness and betrayal. Edward and Jonathan's disrespect for Mark, even after his passing, infuriated Shirley. Maria's attempt to defend her dignity only highlighted the deep-seated issues that plagued their relationships. As Maria braced herself for her own exposure, Shirley played a final recording that captured Maria, boasting about manipulating her nephews and her plans to rely on them in her old age. Her words, filled with arrogance and manipulation, shocked everyone present. The confrontation was a moment of truth for the family, forcing them to face the consequences of their actions and the divisions they had created. Shirley's decision to reveal the recordings not only exposed the individual failings of Edward, Jonathan, and Maria, but also underscored the broader dysfunction that had taken root over the years. In the aftermath, the challenge would be to see if there was any path forward for reconciliation or if the revelations had irrevocably fractured their bonds. In a dramatic turn of events, Shirley confronted Maria in front of Edward and Jonathan, revealing the depth of Maria's deceit. Shirley explained that due to Maria's continued lavish lifestyle despite her alimony running out decades ago, she had become suspicious and hired a private investigator. The investigator's findings painted a damning picture of Maria's character, leading to an intense moment of accusation and defense. Maria tried to justify her actions by claiming she had invested time and money into Edward and Jonathan and expected something in return. However, Shirley countered this by presenting a bank book, hinting at an inheritance which momentarily excited Edward and Jonathan. The tension rose as Shirley elaborated on Mark's estranged relationship with his wealthy but irresponsible father, whose debts were a family burden. Maria admitted to cutting ties with him but acknowledged attending his funeral. Shirley revealed that Mark had indeed received an inheritance, which he had intended for Edward, Jonathan, and Maria once they demonstrated financial responsibility. However, Maria had been secretly withdrawing money from Mark's account without permission, squandering a substantial sum on a dubious investment opportunity. Edward and Jonathan's shock turned to anger upon learning that nearly all of the $340,000 inheritance was gone, reduced to a mere $25 within a year. Maria's attempt to justify her actions by pointing to her efforts in raising them only fueled their rage further. But Shirley had more revelations. She disclosed that the college funds set aside for Edward and Jonathan had also been depleted by Maria's meddling. The discovery of their nearly empty accounts pushed Edward and Jonathan to the edge of their patience, with threats of legal action against Maria, who dismissively laughed off the seriousness of her actions, labeling it as family theft and implying it wasn't a real crime. This confrontation laid bare the tangled web of lies, entitlement, and betrayal that had enveloped the family. With Maria's financial manipulations exposed, the family faced the daunting task of addressing the emotional and financial fallout of her actions. Shirley's decision to bring these secrets to light forced each family member to reckon with the consequences of their choices and the broken trust that now defined their relationships. In a moment of high drama, Shirley revealed her ace. She had already informed the police about Maria's financial misdeeds, shocking Maria and everyone present. Despite Maria's disbelief and accusations of betrayal, Shirley stood her ground, highlighting the chaos Maria had wrought upon their family. Maria's subsequent confession of her twisted motivations only added to the tension, leaving Edward and Jonathan visibly unnerved by her malevolence. The situation took another turn when Edward and Jonathan, previously enraged, suddenly adopted a conciliatory tone, admitting to their own recent job losses and evictions due to irresponsible behavior. Their audacious request for Shirley to bail them out and cover their debts revealed the extent of their entitlement. Shirley's refusal was met with threats from her sons, who warned that they might also involve the police. The arrival of the police at their doorstep forced Maria into a corner, leading to her quiet arrest. Edward and Jonathan, realizing the gravity of the situation, and perhaps fearing legal consequences for themselves, quickly decided to leave, abandoning their financial demands. This encounter seemed to momentarily shake Edward and Jonathan's perspective, prompting them to consider the seriousness of their situation and Maria's negative influence. However, old habits die hard. Despite their fleeting realization and declarations of intending to change, their subsequent actions, calling Shirley for financial help for trivial matters, showed that true change would require more than just a moment of clarity. Shirley, now faced with the aftermath of her family's unraveling and the ongoing challenges with her sons, was left to navigate the consequences of years of manipulation, deceit, and financial irresponsibility. The path forward was uncertain, with the hope for genuine change balanced against the reality of deeply ingrained behaviors. After discovering her son's reckless spending on horse racing, Shirley reached her limit and decided to cut off all communication with them. Edward and Jonathan's subsequent attempts to borrow money from other relatives were futile. Their failure to attend their father's funeral had made them pariahs within the family. This rejection was a turning point, driving them into the arms of debt collectors due to their involvement with dubious lenders. The consequences of their actions began to materialize as they found themselves barred from the very places where they once sought refuge and enjoyment, leading to a stark realization of the joyless state of their lives. Maria, meanwhile, faced her own set of challenges. Although her status as a first-time offender resulted in a mere fine, the aftermath of her actions significantly altered her personal life. Her relationship ended, and after repaying the stolen funds from Mark, Edward's, and Jonathan's accounts, she was left with a substantial debt. Now, Maria spends her days working tirelessly, a stark contrast to her previous lifestyle. Unbeknownst to Maria and Shirley's sons, Mark had safeguarded another secret, a large pink diamond necklace, an heirloom from his mother, intended for Shirley as their 33rd wedding anniversary gift. Hidden in a safe, this necklace was Mark's way of ensuring it wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. Valued at $390,000, the necklace was a testament to Mark's foresight and love. Despite its significant monetary worth, Shirley had no intention of selling it, cherishing it instead as a precious memory of Mark. The journey through familial turmoil and financial crisis led Shirley to a profound reflection on her life. The dream of a warm family might have eluded her, and the loss of her husband was a deep sorrow. Yet Mark's legacy remained a source of strength. With the pink diamond necklace as a symbol of their love and the memories they shared, Shirley resolved to move forward, embracing the resilience and determination to live a life honoring Mark's memory.